Hi, Albie.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me over. I really appreciate you taking the time to, sit down and talk with us. And, before we get started, I just want to, spend a little time just reviewing what you had mentioned to me over the phone.
Okay.
You had mentioned that, the reason why, you were thinking about moving is to take advantage of today's market. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, great. And what do you mean by taking advantage? You're talking about making sure that you can, sell your place. And you do have to sell your place, right?
Yeah, if I'm going to do this.
If you want to buy it, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sure the market's very good. I mean, but I need to sell this place because the market's not so good. Of course, they're going to get a better deal on the
Right.
Rambler that we want to find.
Right. So you do want to buy Rambler, but
Yeah.
so one of your concerns is really, is it okay if I take a moment and write down what your main concerns are
Sure.
after we review everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I heard one is you're concerned about the market not being very good.
Right.
Okay. The reason why I'm just writing this down, Albie, is I want to make sure I address all your concerns.
Right.
And if I can address all your concerns, and you feel comfortable and confident, I can actually still sell your home and address all your concerns.
Right.
Are you ready to still move forward?
Well, I think so. I mean, my only concern about the market, I mean, is like I have 3 other agents, and we just can't get this thing sold, and so
Right.
I just don't know if it's maybe just the market's not that good because I can't believe all the agents are
Right.
that bad. But
So, another concern, you've had 3 other agents, and for some
Yeah.
reason, they didn't do their job.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The prices keep going down, and it's just not selling.
Okay. Well, I just want to write that down because I want to be able to go back to it, and prices going down. So that's almost still talking about the market.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And so let me go back and make sure that, so you're selling because you want to make sure you take advantage of the market and you're going to buy into a different home, but you have to sell this house.
Yes.
Anything else in particular while you were selling?
Not really. I mean, I think when the grandkids come over and stuff, I want to have a little yard and a place for them to play, and I like to do a little gardening in the back. So I think having a Rambler, a little house, that's on one level, but that gives me a small yard and so forth would be a much better lifestyle, and you don't have all the condominium issues and so forth. So I'd like to just be more in control of my outcome with that kind of lifestyle.
Got it. So pretty much, you want to have a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
Which is, not have to worry about stairs and anything like that, and you want a Rambler, and also now that you have more grandkids, you want them to come play and watch them play, and have them be in a yard so they feel safe.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So, is there anything else besides, pretty much the market being, you feel like the market's soft, sounds like, and then having 3 other agents who, you've given them a shot, and
Right.
for whatever reason they didn't do their jobs,
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm kind of thinking, that it might make sense just to wait till after the first of the year now because we've got the holidays coming, and I don't know if homes really sell this time of year either. So I'm kind of thinking, unless you can show me something different, that maybe we should just give it a break and maybe wait till after the first of the year, maybe even the spring,
okay.
when the market's a little bit better.
Right, so pretty much the holidays, and you feel like you want to take a break, and you feel like in the spring market it will probably sell.
Well, I certainly hope so.
Yeah,
I thought the last
probably,
spring
yeah,
it
it
did.
probably sell. So if there was actually a track record of why selling now, and once I show it to you, and it can pretty much handle these things that you're talking about, and then were you still prepared to move forward?
Well, probably, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
again, it's the other agents have been very convincing, and
Yeah,
they kind of got me there. So
Right.
I'm a little cautious, but
Right. Okay. Well, the reality is, bless you. So the reality is, Albie, I don't really want to convince you because the reality is, I don't want to have to sell you to get you to put your home on the market. I just want to show you, statistically and facts why it makes sense to or not make sense. And if it doesn't work for you, then if it's not the right time, then we'll both know that.
okay.
But at the same time, you also know if it is the right time. So, after tonight, my ultimate goal is just to earn your business, either now or later. It doesn't matter to me.
I appreciate your approach.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, it sounds really fair.
Okay, cool. So, let's just talk about, well, let me ask you a couple more questions before we even get started, and I explain to you. Do you want me just to handle the sale for you? I mean, I'm happy to do that before we get into all this.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Not sure, okay.
Kind of see what you have to say.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to double check just because
Sure.
you already feel confident about me. So.
I do feel confident. I do feel confident.
Okay. So, as you're talking about the market, what I want to show you is that, in the last, right now we're in September, and even that you have a condo, in the last year and the year before that, we're actually statistically, selling more homes even in this time frame. So, what I mean by that, if I can just have you take a look at this chart here. And, what I mean by that is, if you go back, so this chart typically goes back, a year and 2 months. And if I can show you, what homes have already sold, and we're just talking about your zip code and your area.
Okay.
And we're going to show you exactly why. I know that one of your concerns is the market being soft. So I want to show you that actually our market's increasing and we're selling more homes. So if you want to go back, by example, if you go back to, let's just go September of 2010 and we go September here, we actually had an increase of, a single home. So, which is good because that just shows that we're going the right direction. We're still selling more homes. And if we go back, if I were able to bring back another calendar and actually go back 2 years, you'll notice that our market's actually picking up. Does that make sense?
Boy, sure, sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but I'll take your word for it. I mean, there's the stats.
There's the stats. Well, the thing is when it comes to selling a home, there are three main important things about selling a home. And I'm sure you probably heard it before or not. But the three main things, besides your concern, is making sure that your home is presented properly. And the second thing is pretty much the promotion. And the third thing is price. So do you have any questions, or do you understand, what I mean by those three things?
You said presented, how it's presented?
A presentation.
Okay, what does that mean?
Presentation means the way a buyer will come and take a look at your home. When they walk in your house, it goes from when they pull up to your front yard or to pull up to the condo complex. Does it clean? Is there just the appearance of the home? And when they come inside the home, is it a big mess or does it smell fresh?
Right.
Also, presentation also can probably mean, is your home staged or not? It can mean, do you have professional photos or not? I'm happy to show you some samples if you'd like, but that's
so
a presentation.
How
Right.
is the house presentable?
Right,
Beds made,
in a buyer's eyes.
Okay.
Not for the sellers, because the seller, you live here and you may have a different attachment to your home.
I make my bed every day.
Okay, that's what I'm.
Wash the dishes, put them away every day.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And we'll know exactly how your home is presented. And the reason why I'll tell you is because I use a home feedback system. And so everybody who comes to your home, they'll open the lockbox, they'll automatically get an email. Their agent will get an email asking for feedback. So you'll know if your home's presentation is, to par of the buyer, what the buyers are looking for. And if it's not, they'll also tell you. So at least you'll get real feedback. And which is really important because, sellers in today's market, their biggest frustrations, I don't know if it was yours or not, is typically there's not enough communication.
Oh, that was the last agent especially. That was a huge problem.
Yeah,
I think the guy had so many listings, he
was
just
busy.
didn't have time for me. He
Right.
just didn't. I had to call him, and he'd tell me mumbo jumbo, and I never really felt like I knew what was going on with that.
Right. Okay. Well, and we'll touch on that a little bit more about communication, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But so that's presentation, and presentation is really your job. I'll help coach you, but ultimately that's your role of this process of, making sure that the presentation in your home is for today's buyers.
Well, how do you feel about my home presentation? I mean, you walked around here.
Yeah, I think it looks great, and I think that's something we can talk about the presentation. But when we talk about the 3 P's, which is the presentation, price, and promotion, they all have to make sense. So how it looks right now, it can be the best presentation, but if we're off on the other 2 P's or one of the 2, then we still may not be able to get your home sold.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let's talk about the other 2 before we really dial into does it make sense to get the right presentation or get to the right promotion.
Right.
So the second part of the P is promotion, and promotion for me is making sure that it's my job, and it's my job to make sure I bring enough traffic inside your home, and enough agents, enough buyers, and give you the right feedback to get your home sold, which is promoting it online and the usual putting up a for sale sign and so forth, fielding calls to make sure that I can get the right buyer for your home, and talking to the agents. So that's really my part of the 3 P's. Does that make sense for you? Do you have any questions around that?
Not really, no.
Okay. And then the third part is price. So price is really going to be determined by you ultimately after we go through all the comparables and so forth, and also the market. You'll know what market. I'll spend a little time, educating you about the market. I'm sure you probably already know since you've been through a couple of agents. But sometimes, agents don't really know the market that well either, because they're not spending the time actually seeing what's really happening. So like you said, your previous, and they kept telling you it was a bad market. But if I can show you the statistics of what's happening right now, we're actually seeing the best market in the last 2 years. So I'm surprised to hear that.
I don't know.
Right, and you mentioned you had an offer.
Yeah, we did.
You did.
Right.
So even though if it was a bad market, people were still making offers, right?
Yeah, but they just sort of went away. I don't know. They were.
Right, and that's where when you have an active agent actually really pursue why they're going away and getting good feedback, or really seeing if we can handle the objections that the buyers had, then it's possible we could have tried to save the deal for you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I told my agent to get them to come up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's still maybe a possibility after we get your home back on the market. So.
Maybe.
Okay. And so we'll talk more about that. So let's, so any questions about the 3 Ps?
I don't think so. Not right now.
Okay, no questions there. So what I want to do is just talk to you about the 3 things the main objections you had. We talked about the market. So when we're talking about the market, you can see that, the number of homes are actually increasing, and I also want to show you the days on market that's probably decreasing too, because when we show more sales, typically homes are staying off the market, for a longer period of time. But the reason why they stay off the market longer because it's probably been priced right. So, and we'll talk a little more about pricing. And how do you feel about your pricing when you had your home on the market?
Well, I thought it was a pretty good price. The agent, when they came over and showed me this stuff like you're doing, recommended that price, and buying that Rambler, those are not cheap, so I need to get as much as I can out of this place.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. And getting to the right price is really important, and I know that you want to get as much money as possible. But getting your home to the right price, which is knowing what the market we're in and playing catch up to the market. Are you prepared to actually be ahead of the market so you can make sure your home sells this time around?
What does that mean?
It being so, I'm going to spend a little time talking to you more about the market. So we have these 3 charts, and what it is typically what a buyer's market is, what a neutral market, and what a seller's market is. So on a buyer's market, typically a buyer's market is anything 6 months of inventory and higher, and a neutral market is having 4 to 6 months. And a seller's market is 4 months or less of inventory.
And what are we in here?
So in your particular home, you guys are in a neutral market. So what's important about knowing what market we're in is because it will determine how you want to price your home. Because what a lot of sellers do who've been on the market for a long time, they pretty much have been in this buyer's market, and they're always trying to play catch up to the market. And what I mean by catch up, does that make any sense by what catch up means?
Not exactly. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, for a lot of sellers, they want the most money possible like you do.
Right.
And then what typically happens is they want to tend to price it a little higher just in case they can get a bite at the higher price so they don't leave any money on the table.
Well, plus you got to have room to negotiate.
Of course. And and everybody wants to negotiate, especially in today's market.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But the problem is what we find out what's wrong with is when they start so high, and then all the buyers rather just skip through your listing, on the MLS because they already see that you're overpriced because the buyers are so savvy right now that they want to make sure that is it a good deal, then is it at fair market value or a great deal, and that's where you'll start seeing all the activity. So what happens is if you come back on the market and you're still wanting to play catch up to the market, which is still get the highest dollar amount, you may catch yourself going further and further down and missing the market again. Like sounds like we've missed the market a couple times already.
Yeah.
So, does that make better sense now?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, being afraid of the market, and I also want to, I can show you exactly that, the inventory in the area, but I also want to show you the inventory in all of King County and why it's, can I explain why that's important for you?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta stop for a second.